Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Michelle, and I would like to share with you some key insights that I got out of this holy grail of a book, The Art of Practicing, A Guide to Music Making from the Heart by Madeline Bruser. Like those who have read this book, it has profoundly and positively changed my relationship with the piano, with practicing, performing, music making in general. So if you're someone who struggles with a resistance to practice, that there's this negative baggage with practicing and performing, or you are injured, this book is a life changer. Even as someone who loves to practice, it was game-changing because it helped me access a more holistic and spiritual part to music making and practicing that I also wanted to bleed into my craft. So what are you going to find in this book? Well, it's going to teach you how to have a more productive and efficient practice session without all the negativity. It is holistic, insightful, meditative, compassionate, everything that you would want in a musician or an educator. It also goes through the physical side of music making, such as posture, stretches, alignment, but also just as, if not more importantly, the psychological side to music making, such as your mindset towards practice, performance, and memorizing. One of the things that I love about this book is that Bruser has these little Q&A sections, like this one on page 58. She includes common questions and offers practical words of wisdom. For example, on page 158, we have this question that says, "Sometimes I get so frustrated with practicing that I feel angry. What should I do then?" The two topics that I would like to explore that she covers in her book is how to overcome the resistance to practicing and the 3 psychological states that hinder our ability to genuinely express the emotions we want through our music. One aspect of Bruser's work that I truly appreciate is her exploration and consideration of how the way you think affects your craft. You see, practicing is more than just telling your body what to do. It's also about finding the faulty habits in your thinking towards technique or music. At the end of the day, it's your brain that controls your body. So if you're thinking in a way that helps you, your body is also going to be in better service of you and the music. Let's start with the latter first, the 3 psychological states of struggle. So the 3 psychological struggles she explores is number 1, overstated passion, number 2, avoidance, and number 3, aggression. It's these 3 mental states during your practice that creates the struggle which buries your natural musicality and intelligence. Let's start with the first one, overstated passion. Overstated passion happens when a musician goes overboard with their expression. You can see this in their body language. They might get really close to the keys when things are quiet and intense, or they might contort their body into different shapes depending on the shape of the phrase, or their shoulders and their fingers will quite literally grip on to the emotion that they are trying to feel and express. Musically, it's when you make a big deal out of squeezing every emotion out of every minute contour of a phrase. And this overindulgence can get to the point that the music and the musician just can't breathe. Any genuine musical expression is literally choked, as you can see in my probably very poor delivery of those past few lines. And this overindulgence, I find, can happen quite often in very simple phrases. This is not to say that you can't express yourself musically or physically, but rather just be mindful of whether or not you are getting in your own way. You can play and indulge in passion. Sometimes the music calls for it. Also consider exploring more subtle forms of expression, such as being more concise with your movements or your phrasing. And then compare it with the more dramatic version. See what you like. Sometimes it's a good idea to ask yourself, would it be easier if I just simply let go and let the music speak for itself? Are you making a caricature of the music as a way to resist the emotion that you would otherwise feel overwhelmed by if you simply just let go and let it touch you to the core? Now, be careful that we don't overdo the toning down of the overstated passion and end up on the other side of the spectrum, which is avoidance. This is where, instead of engaging in expression, we just sit back, play it cool, no big deal, and we just let go of the music to the point where it goes beyond speaking for itself and into this non-expressive ether. In a way, it's like meeting someone who is just so nonchalant and chill about everything that they start to lack an opinion or personality and fade into this boring, monotone existence that's just kind of like, meh. And so the music is just devoid of any appreciation or responsibility in learning the depth of the notes, the sound, the phrasing, and the textures. So if you're feeling a little bit lost, you can't go too much on the overstated passion, but you also can't let go to the point of avoidance. So maybe you'll just hype yourself up quite a bit to just do it and play the phrase. Welcome to aggression. This is where you feel driven, enthusiastic, maybe a little bit pushy in declaring yourself and the emotions that ends up making you feel tight as you just bash through the music. It's a short-term solution that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable afterwards. It's almost like a desperate attempt to control some aspect of your performance. Aggression can also come out during some passages that you feel insecure about. As the panic starts to creep in, you might feel like you want to race through or bash through the phrase in an attempt to run away from that uncomfortable emotion. So what do we do with overstated passion, avoidance, or aggression? Bruser states that underlying all these three psychological states is a little bit of panic. Sometimes it's just a lot easier to gush out your emotions than to hold it in, and sometimes it's easier just to detach and avoid. You may engage in all these three states at some point and in a different mixture of them. None of these three states are inherently bad, you just want to use them in moderation and where necessary. Sometimes the music is going to call for some passion, for those lush chords. Sometimes the music is a bit more laid back and you need a little bit of some avoidance. Or sometimes you need a little bit of aggression to get that bite and clarity. It's all about being mindful when you practice. Speaking about mindful practicing, we can't get there until we overcome our resistance to practicing. So here's topic number 2, overcoming the resistance to practice. Bruser says that part of this overcoming of resistance involves curiosity and listening to your inner voice. Oftentimes, the resistance to practice is actually just an avoidance of any uncomfortable emotions that come along with our practice regime. Practice plans that are overwhelming, boring, and uncompromising can create feelings of overwhelm and discouragement when you don't complete all the tasks, or if you do, but it doesn't create the results that you wanted despite going through all of that dreadful work. I don't know about you, but I don't think anyone is willing to subject themselves to a practice plan that doesn't inspire some form of joy or accomplishment. That's not to say you're going to throw away your practice plan. Do have a plan that has specific goals that are achievable. Do have a good level of self-awareness of when to apply more rigid routines and more flexible ones that allow you to explore and play within them. Do design a plan that engages curiosity and how to use it during your practice. Bruser says that we can't develop spontaneity in our performances if we spend hours every day controlling ourselves. So while we do need a practice plan that has specific goals that are achievable, and we need to know when to be a bit more rigid and when to be a bit more free, we also need to know when to engage our curiosity, to always ask ourselves, what am I interested in now? Because if we follow those interests, we'll honor our intelligence. But what is curiosity? What does it mean to be a curious player or a curious practicer? Curiosity is simply the desire to learn or know something. Oftentimes we feel like we aren't curious or we don't know how to be curious. But the thing is, we all have curiosity. We don't have to necessarily become it. By following that curious voice, we become curious. And curiosity can sound something like, oh, what should the fingering be in this bar? What would happen if I tried playing with lighter fingers? What would happen if I started the phrase a little bit softer and held my crescendo to the end? How would it feel if I moved my elbow in a different place? What if I thought of a phrase this way? What can I do to make this easier? Asking these curious questions, asking these questions that help you explore and engage curiosity is what actually helps you learn at a deeper level, while also enter in this very playful exploration. Whatever curiosity says, go follow it and see what you find. Because as long as it holds your interest, your work will be fresh and creative. Practicing itself is also an art form. You need to have good self-awareness and also acceptance of the process to help you create more enjoyable and fulfilling practice sessions that steer you away from avoidance. If you follow your curiosity and keep listening, your intuition will begin to develop and take you and your music on a lovely creative journey. Bruser's book, The Art of Practicing, is a holy grail for all musicians. I think she basically covers everything you can possibly think of to develop a positive, fulfilling, and transformative relationship with yourself, your instrument, and music. So I really do hope that you get a chance to pick up this book and explore other really awesome topics in here, such as memory, more things on practicing, developing freedom in your playing, and finding ways to have performances that fully integrate your mind and body with the music. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any book recommendations or books you want me to review revolving around music, let me know down in the comments below. In the meantime, I will see you in the next video, and happy practicing!